welcome to another video episode of my podcast. My name is Cheryl, and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel on YouTube and my corner of the general interwebs where I like to talk about knitting and sometimes crochet and books and maybe some TV or movies and life and other chatty things that I want to share with you. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video and spend a little bit of your time with me. I really hope that you enjoy it. Please settle in, get yourself a delicious beverage, and let's enjoy a lovely visit together. So today is Monday, January 31st. We are on the cusp of February and beginning the transition, the end of fall, the coming of spring. And it was a fine week for me, a really interesting reading week. I did not do any crafting, but I did do one creative thing. I tried painting. It was an outing with a friend, and we, wore our masks if we weren't at our station, and everybody had to show that they were vaccinated. So we were, trying to be reasonably cautious, but sometimes you have to get out and do something too. It's been, yeah, so sometimes you need to break out and you need to do some things too. So I think I'll put a photo in here somewhere. It was like a paint and sip class. You could order beverages, and they had a teacher lead you through the steps of the painting, and it was so much fun. I have never painted before, and I was nervous. I was afraid I was going to hate my finished painting, but I actually enjoyed the whole process. She guided us through it very well, and I think it's a cute painting, and I am not ashamed of it. So definitely that is an activity I would like to do again. Yeah, in that kind of atmosphere with some guidance with a teacher, and where they give you all the supplies and everything that you need. You don't need to invest in getting all the tools and a collection of paint colors and all of that. I have enough crafty supplies. I don't need to start another collection. So I think for me, that's the perfect way to do it. And my friend and I had a really great time, and definitely it was a really good outing. I looked forward to it all week. And reading, I told you that it was a very interesting reading week, and indeed it was. I started House of Leaves like I told you I was planning to. Here We Are by Mark Danielewski, And you see a few tabs. I have a couple of bookmarks, and I have my notebook. It is already, let's see, where am I? It's already half full of notes. Yeah, and an index. Here's my index. So, yeah, I definitely am already many pages further than I was years ago when I had a failed attempt to start this book. And I think I'm committed to finishing it. I think it's going well. I am enjoying it. It is a challenge. Really, this is a puzzle. This book is a puzzle, and reading it is an experience. And I've heard people say, and I think it's true, you get out of House of Leaves what you put into it. This is a demanding book that really almost requires a very interactive reading process. You are, together with the text, assembling the story. Like I said, a puzzle. And it's also a labyrinth, a maze. And I think every reader that makes it through this maze finds their own way. I don't think there is a right or a wrong way to read this. I think people create their own strategies, whether that's reading from page 1 straight through everything in page order, whether it's jumping around, because the footnotes do give you suggestions to refer to this or that and go to the appendices, or turn to an exhibit. There's a short section of exhibits. And so you kind of make your own strategy, find your own way, your own course through the maze, however you can, whatever works for you. Unfortunately, this book, because it demands so much and because it is only available in a print format, and the typesetting and the page layouts and the typography is also very experimental. There are, like I said last week when I gave the setup for this book, there are parts that are printed backwards and you need to read them in a mirror. And there are really strange layouts, like vertical footnotes and pages that are printed on the diagonal, and all kinds of things where you have to turn the book to read the text in different angles. And so this is not an accessible book, and the demands that it makes also make it create a barrier for a lot of people. And I do think that that is a weakness. And I kind of feel not great about that. Because I do on principle feel like if a story is a really great story worth telling and putting so much into, then that story, if it's that great, it should be available to as wide a group of readers, as wide an audience as possible, so that that story can be enjoyed by more people and not less people. But that definitely was not the priority of the author. I think the author wanted to give an experience, and he wanted to be interactive, and so that came at a cost. When you prioritize that, it comes at a cost and creates these barriers. But yeah, but I am finding my way. I am feeling a little bit like Johnny and Zampano, the two main kind of points of view that we get. Zampano compiled the journal that he was writing about the film, and then Johnny took it and read it, and now Johnny edited it and put it in order. And also Johnny made a lot of his own commentary in his own footnotes. So I feel like I am following in Johnny and Zampano's footsteps with my notebook, creating my own map, creating my own journal, to piece together this story in a way that makes sense to me. Another part of this being such an interactive reading experience where you are working to put the story together yourself from the pieces and find the connections, make the meaning. I think as a reader, the meaning that you get from House of Leaves, I think every reader is going to get a different meaning. And what you take from this story is kind of what you need as a reader, because you're helping to create it. And it also is as much about your part in telling the story as in what the writer put together for you. Yeah, those are kind of my thoughts so far. I am just a little over 20% of the way through. I started it on the 25th, on Tuesday. So it's been like 6 days. I think that's a pretty good pace for a book like this. And yeah, so that's that. I also have progressed more in that collection of fairy tales. They're interconnected fairy tale stories, and they are fairy tales that connect to make a larger fairy tale. That is Honeycomb by Joanne Harris, and I really am enjoying it. I like to listen to it at night. It's kind of like bedtime, like a bedtime fairy tale, and they're really short and they go fast, so you can listen to a few. And I like that. Short chapters in a long book, or, you know, short stories, they keep you going. And I like that. Just little short bites, and then you keep eating. You're like, that bite was good, I'm gonna take another. So on that day that I did the painting activity, I went out early and I stopped at a place not very far. I stopped at a bookstore in the area before I met with my friend. And one, I just enjoy that bookstore. It's a real nice one. It's the one that I went to before Christmas. And I had such a great time that day. That was my first visit. I had such a great time, and I knew I was going to be in that area, so I wanted to go back. I picked up a book, and I have started it. There's my bookmark. This is Late Migrations by Margaret Runkle. That is such a nice cover. Yeah, and this is nonfiction. It is essays, and some of them are even almost like poems. And they're all really pretty darn short. Another yay for very short essays, because one is not enough. I keep reading and like, oh, another one. I can read one more. They're so short. One more, just one more. And these are, yeah, essays, memoir, and nature writing. The author, Margaret, and her family have lived in, I think it's in one of the Carolinas, north or south. But her family has lived in this local area for generations, and she is writing stories from her family and her own memoir stories. And also mixed in with that is things about their natural environment. The birds. She's a big bird watcher, and gardening, and just the wild areas around her house and her family's home, and a lot about birth and death. And there are illustrations. Let me show you. Here's the one I just came up on. Thunderstorm. That's the spot where I am right now when I pick it up to read again. Here's another illustration. Water lily. A lot of these are birds and flowers and other natural things. Here's a bluebird. So yeah, it's family memoir, nature writing, a mix of kind of almost poems and short essays, and all very bite-sized and really lovely to read. So lovely to read. Especially if you enjoy nature writing and enjoy wildlife and just observing nature. And yeah, really, really good. So I found that while I was there. I also saw a print hardback copy of Honeycomb, the book I'm listening to from my library's audiobook collection. And I opened that book up in the bookstore because I know that the book has illustrations. The print copy does. Obviously, there are no illustrations in the audio format. But I've been enjoying listening to it, and I wanted to see what the illustrations in the print copy look like. So I had a little flip through, and there are some that are like full page, like paintings in full color. They look like prints of paintings that were done for the book. And then there are other black and white illustrations that are smaller. And there's a pretty good number of them. It's pretty generous with the illustrations. And I was really impressed. I thought about getting Honeycomb that day too, but I decided I would rather wait and see how the arc of the interconnected stories ended and how I felt about the stories, all of them together, after I was finished listening. And then I would have a better idea, because sometimes when I don't enjoy the ending, it does sour me on the whole book a bit and could make the difference between if it's a book I want to reread or if it's a book that one time was plenty. And so I decided to wait and see how it was as a whole before I really made a decision that I need to own it and keep it in my house or in my future apartment when I move. Someday, there are no plans for that, but I know that is a thing that I will work towards at some time in the future. So yeah, but I'm really glad I picked this up. That was a good choice. And just a little cat update. Meme and I are getting more and more comfortable. She will sometimes hang out with me for some time when I'm downstairs in the room that I generally settle in when I'm not doing other things downstairs. She will come into that room and hang out for as long as she wants to, for some time. Mimi and I are doing really well, and she's just adorable. And I think that that's all I really have to talk about today. So I hope that you and your family and all of your loved ones are well, and that this coming week ahead is a good one for you. And I hope that any creative projects you have going, whatever you're reading, I hope that you are enjoying all of that. And see you next time. Bye bye.